Thanks for sharing your contact information with me. As with all of my current customers, I keep this information very close at hand and will only contact you in the future if I find information that's pertinent in helping you get better insurance coverages for a better price, regardless of where you may be. And now, as promised, here are the 10 things that your insurance company may not want you to know. The first is the impact of your credit score on insurance pricing. This applies to all types of personal lines, both auto, homeowners, as well as renters and condominium insurance. You may be interested to know that your credit score can impact your insurance pricing by as much as 1/3. So in the case of a person who is married or has a domestic partner, it might be a good idea for you to contact your insurance agent and see what the rating would be with your spouse or your domestic partner's credit information instead of yours. As in the case of many couples, one tends to be the purchaser while the other is not. As you can imagine, in the calculation of credit scores, the one with the most active purchasing history tends to have the lower credit score. In any case, the difference in these two credit scores may also result in a difference in the insurance quotes, and most insurance companies are satisfied with only one Social Security number and credit score when they calculate an auto or homeowner's insurance price. Number 2 is the insurance company's technical data now relative to weather and future weather type occurrences. This can include tornadoes, hailstorms, windstorms, and fire. They now have computer-generated weather information that can date back from 20 to 50 years to give them very careful calculations as to the future likelihood of a storm or storms impacting a particular city, neighborhood, and even a particular block. If you're on the market for a homeowner's policy and are looking for a particular area of a particular town, you might be surprised to know that even though the value of the houses that you are looking at are relatively the same, the insurance pricing is often starkly different. The reason these days is the insurance companies now have data, which they don't always share, as to whether the likelihood of a particular house to have a hailstorm, a fire, or a windstorm activity compared to a house even a few blocks away would in fact impact their premium a great deal. Please keep that in mind if you're in the market for shopping for a new house. The third is the Clue Report information. You may not be aware that the insurance companies now share data that they refer to as a comprehensive loss underwriting exchange, otherwise known as your Clue Report. The Clue Report is collected based on claim activity for both property and automobile insurance coverages and goes back 5 years. All insurance companies have access to this information, and it is public, meaning that they are also able to share this information with you. With this information, they can more carefully calculate the premiums for homeowners, automobile, and other related type coverages. If you are interested, you can always ask your insurance provider or your insurance agent for a copy of your current Clue Report. It is very detailed, including the dates and times of the claim activity that you have been involved in, as well as the dollar payouts that were paid by any particular insurance company. The fourth is what the agencies consider Easy Rater. Many insurance agencies, as you can imagine, represent several insurance companies and will often use what they call an Easy Rater program to calculate insurance prices for many companies all at once. However, many of these companies have hidden discounts or policy deviations that they do not include in their Easy Rater programs. So while an insurance agent may provide you with a quote showing 5 or more insurance companies' prices, sometimes these are not the actual prices that these companies can offer, and in fact, if you contacted these companies directly, you could find a better price if you were able to apply all of the other discounts that they have available. And since the Easy Rater is a computer-generated program, computer updates are not always assimilated into these Easy Rater programs, meaning if an insurance company has a rate decrease or a rate increase, it sometimes takes a while for these to appear in the Easy Rater quotes. Number five, there are personal property limitations now in homeowners policies all across Texas. These would include limitations for things such as cash, firearms, jewelry, furs, and rugs. Please contact your insurance agent if you are unclear as to how much coverage you have on these types of items. Many of the insurance companies have surprisingly low limitations for these types of coverages, but they can be increased for a relatively small amount of additional premium. However, from one company to another who may have similar prices, often their limitations on these 5 personal property items are very, very large. I know in the case of firearms, there is one particular insurance company that I represent who has no limitation on firearms, whereas many of their competing insurance companies have a limitation of between $2,000 and $2,500, which, if you are understanding of the value of firearms these days, is the price of one new rifle. Number 6, many insurance companies have 4 or 5 insurance programs with the same insurance company. Meaning, for example, in the case of homeowners or automobile, they may have different levels of coverage for the same customer with the same vehicle or with the same house. It might be a good idea for you to ask your insurance agent when you're receiving a quote whether you're getting a particular level of coverage, or better yet, ask them to forward you the homeowners or automobile comparison charts that they have for that particular company. Most insurance companies have what they call a comparison chart, and you may be surprised to see the difference in coverages that are offered by the exact same company for the exact same piece of property you're interested in getting a quote for. Next is claim information. As I mentioned earlier, your CLUE report covers all claim information for automobile and property coverages going back 5 years. However, you may be interested to know that that is 5 years from the date of the last claim payment. In other words, if you had an accident on January the 1st, 2008, but the insurance company didn't finally settle the claim until January the 1st, 2009, you can imagine the CLUE report is going to contain that particular claim information for 5 years from 2009, not 2008. So if you have a claim activity that is going on for months and months and months, please bear in mind that your CLUE report's not going to close that claim down until the final date of payment, and then will run for 5 years beyond that date. Next is early quote discounts. Many insurance companies now, because of computerized modeling, can actually see the date of the quote that's being entered by the insurance agent or broker. If that date is 5 to 10 days in advance of the renewal, many times the insurance companies automatically calculate an additional discount. If you're shopping for insurance coverages at the last minute, you may be unpleasantly surprised to see that the rates are higher than they would have been if you had gotten the quote even a week prior. So if you're in the market for insurance coverages, it might be a good idea to shop well in advance of your renewal or your expiration date to get that extra discount for what they call early renewal quotes. The next is in the case of having an accident, particularly in the automobile area. Understand that many insurance agencies know that the attorneys are available to customers who feel like the claim has gotten beyond their ability to deal with an insurance company. I myself have a number of attorneys that I have close relations with and will often refer my customers to them when I feel that the auto accident has gotten beyond their ability to manage. This can happen particularly in the case where the customer is injured and is either being treated by a doctor through physical therapy or regular visits, or may even still be in the hospital and unable to contend with automobile repair and lost wages, etc. Many insurance companies also understand this, but bear in mind that the attorneys typically are going to charge 25 to 50% of whatever the losses are, and it might be interesting for you to know that the insurance company payout with insurance or with attorney representation isn't always 25 or 50% more. It might be a situation where you would want to discuss this with your insurance agent prior to contacting an attorney. As in any case, however, you are always free to contact an attorney at any time, but just keep that in mind, that the insurance companies often understand that attorneys are available, but that the payout may not always reflect better on the customer in the end because you're going to be sharing that payout with a particular attorney. The last is towing and rental reimbursement coverages. Many auto insurance companies offer these as a part of the full coverage quotation for an automobile policy, but in the case of towing and labor coverages, you might want to consider an alternative provider for example, the AAA. The reason is if you turn in a number of towing claims on your automobile insurance policy, while those dollar amounts may be relatively small, the insurance companies count this as activity. They can, at the end of a period where you've had a number of towing claims submitted, actually try to remove that towing coverage from your policy, or worse yet, try to cancel your policy for what they consider excessive claim activity. If, for example, you had the Auto Club as a separate coverage for your towing and roadside service for your vehicles, the Auto Club, for the price of an annual membership, will allow for 4 service calls on disabled vehicles without any information being transmitted to the insurance company, and therefore being separate from any insurance concerns that you might have. I hope these 10 things will assist you in, again, finding better insurance coverages for a better price, and I look forward to contacting you in the future. Thanks again for sharing your information with me, and I look forward to speaking with you again soon.